Welcome to the podcast. We're here to talk about all things life, death, birth, and re-death, I think.
You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
In a bow tie, and we interviewed all the X Games gold medalists after they were done with their press thing. We brought them directly in to me, and I was a sports psychologist.
What, like,
so I was like,
character?
Yeah, so I was like, so we've brought you here today just to make sure that you're sane of mind and you can get to keep the medal. And they were like, okay.
Oh, for real? They didn't know?
No.
Because none of them knew you? Was it like,
no,
they weren't
a couple
skiers?
that knew me, but also once you win a gold medal, you're up for fucking anything. So it was perfect because everybody was in such a fucking great mood.
And they're like, it's one interview, one meeting to the next, to the next,
yes,
to the next.
and so they do all those like little press interview things, and then mine was the last one, so it was the fun one.
Yeah.
And David Weiss is sitting there, they all have their gold medals around their neck, and Dave Weiss was like, "Can I bring my daughter?" I was like, "F yeah, you can bring
absolutely.
your daughter." And so he's got this little girl with her binky in on his knee, and I made these fake Rorschach tests and held them up, and I was like, "Tell me what you see," and then like they're like trying to figure out what they are. And then what I did on each one for each interview is I drew a picture of a unicorn with them on it, and then I put their name and like on there. So then I held that up to the camera, but we had an over the shot from me on them, and then we had over their shoulder at me, so it showed me just a regular Rorschach test. And so at one point each person said, "I think that's me on a unicorn."
Yeah.
And the little girl goes, like, pushes her binky to the side, and she goes, "A horsey," and he goes, "Right, a horsey." And I was like, that was the best interview ever.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, we're rolling.
Okay.
Nice to have you, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
You have a lot of fun stories like that. I'm like, I'm hitting record for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got a lot going on. So we're here for IF3. We'll set the stage.
Yes.
We're here for IF3. You're like,
Yeah.
I want to help out. I'm like, hell yeah, let's come on up.
Yeah.
We hosted the first event last night, which was I guess the opening launch party with the Head Free Skiing movie.
Yeah.
And you did an acoustic version
Yeah.
of My Friend is a Pro.
Impromptu.
Yeah, how did that go? How'd you feel about that?
I don't know. It's difficult. I don't play a lot with a microphone and like a big speaker system. So like when you can't hear reaction from people, cause I just play.
Because you always do, because you've always done like your skits and your songs and all that kind of stuff has been like produced within, right?
Not live.
Yeah, not a lot. You don't have a lot of experiences in like a live.
Well, I do have experience with live stuff, but I'm not like, I don't enjoy it that much.
You don't thrive on it?
I mean, unless it's like music, that's fine.
Right.
But yeah, thrive, I guess is the word.
See, I kind of expected the opposite because I'm like, oh, that guy is going to be like,
dude, that's what everybody says.
Hey!
I'm like, I'm better if it's like planned
false
out.
advertising.
That's the story of my life.
Fair enough. Yeah, but that's kind of the opposite with me. I don't know about you, but I'm like one of those like introvert extrovert people.
Yeah.
Like when I'm out and I'm about, and it's on, like the light switch is on.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm all over it. I'm like, yeah, this is. And then as soon as I'm done and I'm at home,
Off.
Lights down, drapes pulled, like little hermit in a cave. Like I just need my recharging time. I was telling Schmuck last night. I'm like, I'm kind of like a hummingbird. It's like redlining and then.
Well, I did
nap,
notice that because you were like,
and then
you were
nap.
like, go, go, go. And I was like, all right, he's not concerned about anything. And then you like left for a little bit and you come back, you're like, I was sitting in the shower getting ready. I was like, oh, okay. He is a little nervous about this.
No, not nervous. Just had to just to recharge.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Just get the
well, you were going all day. I was just waiting around to like do something.
Yeah, get the blood, the heart rate down and just like sit and kind of zen out and focus.
Yeah, got it.
Because it's like, I'm like, all right, this needs to get done. Gotta do this.
Well, that's probably the introvert extrovert thing. You need like that little moment of like, nothing.
It's like that. Like balance is true. It's like here and then here. And
I don't have that at all.
No,
I don't think.
Interesting. I thought maybe you would have.
No, it would make sense. But like, yeah, sometimes I need to be like, fuck, I don't feel like talking to anybody. But it lasts about 10 minutes, and I'm like, where is everybody? Where'd all my friends go?
Obviously I wouldn't have been like the first person to have that like thought. Like, do you have a lot of people being like, I thought they would have been different from you? Like,
oh, dude, I had some experiences where, well, there's one where I got a concussion at Dew Tour, and like waiting to go to the hospital. Like I remember like standing up from it and shit. Like I was coherent. Like could function, but I like went down to the lodge and just waiting for my ski tech to come get me to like go to the hospital just to check me out, make sure I was okay. And I'm just sitting there like,
You get one eye pointing the other direction.
well, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah.
I was like just sitting in the lodge like, and this dude walks in and he was like, with these two girls, and he was like, "Oh my god, this is the guy I was just telling you about. This is Colby. He's like super funny." I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And like after we're talking for a while, one of the girls goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm actually like waiting to go to the hospital right now. Like I hit my head." And the kid was like, "You're not as funny as I thought you were gonna be." And I was like, "I'm sorry. God, I don't know what to tell you right now." Yeah, sometimes that happens, but
There you go. All right, well, let's get to what you're up to right now. So
okay.
we'll do a little history. About 10, 15 years ago, you were a pro skier.
Yeah.
And then you went through all that, and then you decided, well, you didn't ski as much, and you just kind of, you weren't as prevalent, and then you moved to the States to, like, well, you were from the States, but you moved to LA.
I moved back to the States.
You moved back to the States, and then you moved to LA. So basically, like, let's pick it up where your kind of ski career ended. So like you were
so like
and all of the tons of MSP films, like Claim, the greatest movie ever made. A whole bunch of other stuff. You did like tons of fun little skits and songs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
that was kind of like a side thing because I was competing and doing that
Right.
stuff, and it kind of came out of nowhere, really.
Well, I think I always was just assumed like that's who you were, because that's like your creative side. Like, this is something I need to do or I want to do.
Yeah.
While I'm doing this other thing.
Well,
And then
I
it
can tell you
eventually
about that if you want.
just kind of blended into like, this is what I want to do.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you about it. So like,
Yeah, great.
this
is a great spot for it. Perfect. Yeah.
Wish we had this one right here.
Whoa.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
timing.
I was I got a bunch of X Games medals. Like I got a bunch of third place X Games medals. I got 2 in slope and 1 in pipe.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I got to X Games, I thought when I was younger, I was like, I really want to be. I want to be like the best. I want to win that shit. And then I got to X Games and I met a bunch of the people that were like the winners, and I was like, oh, they're not me. Like you have to be like
a different level.
a different level of people.
Right.
But I was like consistent enough that I got a bunch of shit, and then I won the U.S. Open.
Some people crashed.
Like,
you got lucky. And
exactly.
Slid in.
Well,
yeah.
you'd say lucky, and I would agree lucky, but like I was consistent. So like the people that win, they either win or they fucking lose.
Right.
They get like first or last.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna get either 3rd or 5th.
Yeah, that's fair. That's your
So
zone. Yeah.
Sometimes you just do your run.
Sometimes you got to be good to be lucky, and you got to be lucky to be good.
Well, I think that
but
it's-
consistency is it's key, right?
Yeah, and I think that it's similar to like the way that Tanner Hall used to operate, which was like he knew his run stacked down, packed. It's the same with like Shaun White, where like he would figure out what was going to win that year, pre-figure it out, and then just work on that until he had it down.
Right.
And so you don't see him like either one of those dudes like trying anything new in the finals or anything. They just do their runs.
Do it, yeah.
And so that's the way I was, but I just didn't have the the skill set.
That extra
to do it,
10%.
that higher thing.
Yeah.
But then like there's years where like someone I was in like I would qualify first a lot of the time, but then I would usually get somewhere down in like 2nd or 3rd or whatever. And then sometimes people would just crash and then I would get first.
Hey.
So I would just start with like, here's my baseline. I'm going to stick to it. There was one year at X Games where I was in first. So you have to, when you qualify, you have to go opposite order, obviously. So I was the last person to drop on the last day of the X Games of slope. So I'm just like by myself. But like I went down and I was in 5th after my second run. And I went to my team manager, my monster team manager, and I was like, what should I do? And he was like, well, what are the options? I was like, well, if I do this trick, I've been working on the dub 12 blunt on the last jump, and I do it and I
You
land
can't
it.
say blunt anymore.
Oh,
Apparently.
what, capped? What do you want me to
Tail
say?
grab.
Tail grab.
I've heard that
Really?
they're
Is
not.
that a
I've
thing?
heard that on the broadcast. They are
Whoa.
not allowed to say the word blunt grab.
Oh, like for like that. I was like,
Yeah.
like the kids don't want to say it
No,
anymore?
like the broadcast, like they're not allowed. You know that they're not allowed to say blunt grab
Okay.
on the X Games.
But it makes sense, though. It's just grabbing it.
yeah,
Just a little blunt grab.
but they can't say that word.
That's
Apparently.
hilarious. Wow. No wonder I got kicked out of announcing the X Games.
He's like, it all makes sense now.
It totally makes sense. But so I went to my team manager and I was like, if I land this dub 12, then I'll win. And if I go up and do the run I've been doing this entire time and I do it perfectly, then I'll get 3rd. And he was like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to go get 3rd.
Yeah.
He was like, okay. So I just went up and got 3rd.
Yeah.
But like I would describe as more like my athletic, like the
Right.
competition side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like, and it was X Games, right? So
X
you're like,
Games, yeah.
So it's all or nothing, or
all or nothing in your own capacity is the way I thought of it.
all or nothing in your own capacity,
Yeah.
or I can walk away with something.
Right. Yeah.
Is that your only X Games medal?
No, I have 2 more. The first year.
Was that your first one?
That was my 3rd one.
Oh, I would have gone for it. Because you already got the medals, right?
Well, I mean,
It's like you win a championship once, you're like, well, I got a little extra to give. No,
Well, it was also towards the end, so it was like, I knew what.
It's your swan song.
No, it didn't feel like it at the time. I didn't know it was gonna be my last X Games medal, obviously, but like, it was like, I was just doing what was happening in the moment, really, and that's like kind of the general thing. I didn't have like a sense of career thing like that, but like, yeah, the first one I like was living in my car, and I like got in as like a 3rd alternate at X Games.
Right.
And then 2 people got hurt, and then Jaquet Wester was like, I just want to go do backcountry. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I don't, just fuck this course is stupid. And I was like, well, if you don't do it, then I get to do it. And he was like, yeah, fuck it, you do it. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not even going to do it. And I was like, okay. And so I just went out and did it. And then I learned to switch Misty 10, like in practice stuff. And then I ended up on the podium with fucking Candide Tovex.
Neat.
It was Candide and then Sammy,
You know
and then me.
Candide.
Yeah. Yeah, man, he's fucking hilarious.
Call him right now. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I could. He's probably asleep though. So
Yeah, that's true.
hour
That's true.
differences
That
there.
guy's such a ghost.
Ghosts, dude.
Yeah.
He's perma high. He would probably hate that I would say that, but
He's not listening to this.
dude, perma high people get shit done. Are we allowed to say hi? Can we say blunt on here?
Yeah, we're in Canada.
Oh, okay, sweet.
You can go to the store like a minute from. There's like 4 stores a minute from here.
Dude, perma high. Do you know what I'm talking about? Perma high people.
I have a vague idea. What's your
It's
what's
like
your
Tanner?
Oh yeah.
Like Candide, like
Yeah.
Chris Turpin. I don't know if you know who that is, but like he's the one who described it to me.
I'm a very good friend, Chris Turpin.
Turp's
And
my
Turpin has
boy.
been mentioned on this show probably more than anyone.
Perma high motherfucker.
The
He's
longest episode on the
The
show.
funny
with
thing
Turpin.
about Turpin though is he doesn't have. He's aware of the perma high, and he doesn't have to do it.
He's
he can
not-
still be that.
Yeah,
that's
he's
what
not-
I'm saying.
he's
He
not
can
really,
be it without
though.
it.
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
not
aware of it. He's like, I've done it before. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Have you've had him on the show?
Oh yeah, it was like the longest episode we've ever.
No shit.
Turpin's one of the first people I met in Whistler.
You should do it again because he's a stunt dude now.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it right before. Like we're buds. Like we play frisbee
Oh,
golf.
good.
We
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
out like whenever we're around the same spot.
Oh, I
we'll, like
miss him.
we'll play frisbee golf and smoke a joint or
Is
walk
he
around.
here now? We should get him here.
He's
Probably in van or something.
so you know with Turpin though, he if he's into something, he's
all in.
in.
He's probably doing stunty stuff.
And then he moves on to the next thing. Like what was it, 5 or 6 years ago? He was all into like base jumping and doing that thing. He's good on a Lodi and he'd be
yeah,
get as many flights and many jumps as he can. Then it was he's into the stunt stuff. Now he's doing wake foiling down in Howe Sound.
yeah. I've seen on his Instagram.
And he's building that really cool property with ABMA over on Gambier Island.
Yeah,
the
I
Concept
wanna go over there
Neverland.
and see those guys.
Yeah, but yeah, Turpin's the man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we got sidetracked. What was I saying? Oh, we were trying to get to something.
Perma High.
Oh yeah, perma high, but like I'm not that. I guess you could just leave it at that. I'm not that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't even.
What
like,
were we talking about?
I don't smoke the weeds.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just talking about like that level of the competition where like
Right.
those guys
People get
just-
things done, right?
They
Like
get
sometimes
shit
they
done
they
as
can
fuck,
just focus in and it's
dude. It's insane. It's like when I saw that at X Games, I was like, well, that's not me, but I'm just gonna do the best I can.
yeah.
So then after X Games, when we get to the funny stuff, which is like I was at
What's the funny stuff?
just like making videos and shit.
Oh, right,
and
yep,
stuff
yep.
that I'm probably more known for. No one even knows
Yeah.
that it was at X Games.
Yeah. You were like Katie Burrell before Katie Burrell.
Oh, I don't know about that.
She cut. You learned
She's a-
how to walk so she could run.
I don't know about that. She didn't. I don't think she had any knowledge of who the fuck I am at all. She's just making fun shit.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Someone actually said that about McConkey when I first started making funny stuff. They're like, said like, you're the new McConkey, and I was like, no.
Thanks, but I feel really uncomfortable
I
with
feel
that. Yeah.
very uncomfortable with that. I'm
fair
just
enough.
making stuff, and like I'm not gonna. At that point, it makes you feel like you have to like mold something to something. And you're like, no, I'm just.
Yeah,
doing
you've got these expectations on you, and you're like,
Yeah, I'm
that's-
like, no, I'm
that's
just
not,
making
That's
stuff.
not what I am. I don't. I
Yeah.
appreciate. That's a nice thank you,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I don't see what I do as anything similar.
No.
You may see similarities in how you perceive it, but
Yeah,
that's not
like-
what I'm going for.
Freaking McConkey's a legend, dude. But like,
Yeah.
it's not it. But actually, I've been talking with Katie a little bit about trying to make something together.
Yeah, cool.
I think it would be sweet, but we just haven't linked yet.
She's great, man. She's doing so many good things and just taking off. I think she's getting a little burnt out. I think maybe just from looking at the Instagram posts, but she's just grinding and going for it, man. It's super awesome.
She kind of, I don't know how I'm supposed to expose that, but like I texted with her. I was like, "You ready to do something?" She's like, it's a little much, or she's just busy doing a lot
She was on the show last season when she was promoting her film.
Oh yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah, it was cool. Hey,
yeah,
it was neat to see like a ski film.
Yeah,
made from the point of view someone who understands the community and the vibe. Like it was a ski film that talked about that was centered around a ski town and ski town people that was actually realistic.
Yeah,
from the party scene to like living in your van. Like obviously it was camped up a little bit for entertainment purposes, but like
she had to sell it to like the Hollywood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the core of it and the vibe of it was like, oh yeah, one of us made a movie for us.
Yeah. Well, she, when she did it, I would talk to her after when I saw it, and I was like, "You did it." That was like the main thing. I was like, "You did it."
She did it.
Yeah. Because I make a lot of stuff, and I know like, for me, if like feedback on something is not necessarily like, you don't necessarily need like the super positive things all the time of it, but I didn't have anything negative to say to her. I was like, of like feedback for it. I was like, "You did it." Like I see where you're going for, and you nailed it.
Yeah.
It's good. Like,
amazing.
Yeah. Not that my opinion matters or anything, but like I was just so happy that it worked.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I think that was the consensus from a lot of people. Like, just keep going. Like, you've got our full support. Like, go for it.
Well, the thing that I'm hoping, there's a couple of things that I wanted to work with her on. Like I made a segment this last year where I wrote a song, Aprés, which is about Aprés.
Yeah, you sent me. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. It's all right. It's not fantastic, but
I liked it.
Missing some budgie, but I wanted her to direct it so that we could do, but I'm hoping we can get something together eventually.
Yeah, down the road, you've planted the seed, right?
Yeah.
When the time's right and the project is right.
Yeah. The one that I'm working on now, I don't know about the main thing that I really want to do is Park Rats, the movie. So it would be like,
would it be set in like the Tall Tea days?
It would be set in 2007.
Yes.
And it would be like, have you ever seen Almost Famous?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like coming of age type of thing.
Yeah.
But it would be similar. I wouldn't be in it. Obviously, we're just making it, but it would kind of be about what happened to me.
Right.
Which was when I was like 17, 16.
It'd be like a mixture between like Almost Famous and like Entourage or something like that.
A little bit.
It's like based on a true story.
Right. But yeah, exactly. It would just be like the highlights in there or whatever.
Right.
But like when I was 17, Shane Zox put me on the dig crew for High North Ski Camp on the glacier in Whistler. And like, that was insane. It was like, instead of going to college, that's what I did I was a digger at summer camp. It's like ridiculous. The characters and all the shit that happened, like all that. And it's also like, I think that it's probably in my mind anyway. And I think a lot of people's minds from that era was like, we were like the core group of like what skiing was at the time.
Right.
Like, yeah, it was like almost pre-Tall Tea. It was like as Tall Teas were like starting kind of thing. But it was like the last, in my mind, not even nostalgically, it was like kind of the last piece of like, do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
It
was still, because it was still pre-FIS and it was like, hey, like this is a movement.
Yeah. We had one competition a year that was a big deal in the X Games, and we weren't anywhere close to
X Games, US Open, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, like if you got into the US Open, like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but other than that, it was just our core, like the whole ski. It was around New Schoolers time, like when New Schoolers like first was starting, or like was like not starting, but it was like when it was really popular.
Yeah, like I said, it was a full on movement. It was like the real Canadian Air Force and that kind of first wave.
Yep.
And then this was just following, everybody picked up on that and are now, okay, that's possible. Well, what can we do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
And that all came together. Like that was like right in the golden age of skiing, where ski technology was changing every year. People were learning new tricks every year. Like every single year, the sport did a quantum leap. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of fitting for now. Like, I'd love to make it within the next like 2 or 3 years, because I think it's really fitting. I went to Jib League and met a bunch of the generation now, like the younger kids, and it's just the same at Jib League. Like, to qualify for the event, they just had all of like the pros stand around a fucking down rail, and like whoever could do the dopest shit on a down
Yeah.
rail won.
It's coming back to that. So
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's perfect timing to make something that's
I've talked about that on the show a bunch. Is like people are kind of pushing back because we've had this chat about the spin to win and stuff like that. You look like Alex Holly, who's a ninja. He's like a freak of nature, just how skilled he is. But when you're spinning that many times,
it's a lot.
Yeah, the average person who's like, I didn't know that was physically possible. And then you have the barrier of like half pipe skiers. Like, how many super pipes are there in the world now?
Yeah,
4.
It wasn't even like that.
In North America, there's like 5 or 6. But then even then, the money that you need to get into it and then have to get through to get on the team and then access to being able to use it. Like Whistler Blackcomb, they don't have their pipe here anymore because when Vail came in, they're like, oh, this costs too much. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, there's no reason for that.
So like the pool of able competitors is being reduced to a point where it's like, these are the super athletes.
Yeah.
And these are the people that really have access to this. And now, with all of these little everything from like Kimbo sessions to Ghibli to Slush to all of the like even like Xander's event last year, which is more of a backcountry thing, like all of these smaller events that are becoming like rider initiated and rider judged. Like I think it's kind of I don't know if it's necessarily a pushback is the right word, but we're bringing it kind of back to that time where it's like, hey, it's more about the skiing and the good times rather than like,
but there's a problem you run into though, is that during that time that we're talking about, like way back, it hadn't been done at all.
Exactly.
And so like went through all that progression to the point where you get that not a lot of people even have access to a giant half pipe or like the monetary funds to be able to hit a fucking 100-foot jump or like any of that shit. So then when you come back to the core part of it again, there's like a strange sort of, I don't want to say like absence. It's not super negative. I love that new piece of it, but it has that shadow of that all that stuff already happened.
Right.
So I'm not sure where it's gonna go or how it is, but I think it's just time for fun. Like I think it's like we don't need to worry about that. And like obviously kudos to like all the boys and girls doing like fucking quadruple thingies, but like I think we have to remember where it came from.
You're gonna see this weekend.
Yeah.
At the awards and then after the awards, and just there's a couple crews in Whistler that have kind of really started to coalesce and develop in the last few years. So like I've said this a handful of times for those listening, sorry, I'm going to bring it up again, but I actually had Peter Chernowski on just recently, and he was here through like the 80s, and like he had this like core group like Kai Peterson's dad Trevor and like Eric Peyoda and that kind of crew like learned bagging first descents in town, and like they had that solid crew of dudes. And then there was another crew, and then that kind of dissipated around like around 1999 2000 kind of thing, and that's when I moved to town. And then for like 10-15 years we had this solid crew of dudes that just went and skied Blackcomb Whistler every single day, 50 guys that were just shredding the mountain hard. That was that kind of vibe. Everyone saw each other at the film premieres, the bars. You'd just go up skiing by yourself. You'd stand in front of Glacier Creek for 5 minutes and someone would be on the lap. They'd be like, yo, what's up? And we'd go and do a lap with whoever we ran into. Everyone went to lunch at the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Vail came in, basically erased the whole culture of that because it didn't allow for it. It was a mix of COVID.
Wait, why didn't it? Yeah.
Mix of COVID, mix of Vail, taking a lot of things away with the way the passes are done. Also, age.
Okay.
Right, guys are having kids and that sort of stuff. So that kind of era slowly ended.
Yeah.
And I think with Vail coming in, removing a lot of things like the pro team, like just like culture of ski corps was kind of taken away a little bit.
Yeah.
COVID, Vail, the kind of perfect storm.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a bit of this gap where it didn't really seem like there was much going on. There wasn't much of a soul. But now all these kids are in town. So there's a couple snowboard crews, ski crews, film crews, diggers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't know anything about that. They're just here creating their way and making it their thing. And the energy that they're bringing and creating right now is really exciting.
Well, there's also a bonus on that, is that a lot of the people that you're talking about in that original side of it are now closer to administrative roles. So you're going to get like
Good point.
Like when I was coming up, it was like Jaquet and Shane Zox basically made my career, but he was in the Canadian Air Force. Like he was like OG, and then they
started the
next thing, and then they facilitate the next thing. So like, as much as the people that you're talking about, who you were like, it was the vibe, and then it got ruined, but then you see those.
Maybe ruin's the wrong word, but it ended. It had its end.
Right, it had its time, but at the same time now you can be like, you see those other ones.
It makes space for the next vibe. And maybe the I guess the summary of that anecdote was like, the soul of skiing and the culture of skiing will find a way. Like it just finds its way. It's just it in itself is just so great. If someone loves it, they're going to create whatever it is from it.
There's a certain like rock starism to it, where it's like, it's not just ski culture. I know that we're talking about it like in the sense of the ski culture, but it's like that, like, who gives a shit? Let's fucking do something.
Let's do our own thing and have fun.
Let's do a thing.
Yeah. And you're gonna see it on live display this weekend at some of the parties and during the award show and that sort of thing. Like you're gonna be like, oh yeah, these kids are dope. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be wild. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I definitely can see that a little bit already.
Yeah,
just last night.
Then it makes me happy. Like last night was a lot of fun. Like it's coming back. Everything ebbs and flows, and I think we're just about to head back into the flow.
Well, that's like one of the reasons that I'm here right now. Really, is because I had the idea to make Hot Dog the Musical, and so I've been working on like songs related to skiing and how I can like put them in there, but keep it in the culture of skiing, like fun shit. Like My Friend Is a Pro, or like Aprés, like I just wrote, and then I'm working on Deep End, and I've been writing a song called Proho. So like all within that vein. And so I was working on that, and I happened to be in Tahoe while they were doing Jib League. And when I went to Jib League, I met all of the young kids, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm so excited for this. Yeah. And it was just like, for me, it was like really good timing, because I was like, what happened to like the good times, man? And then I met a bunch of the younger people. I was like, oh, there's still, it's not even just that it's still here. It's like everybody's excited again. I'm like, yeah, great. Let's
talk about this Hot Dog the Musical.
You like that idea?
Yeah, let's talk about this. So that's one of the things. So like we mentioned, you did we talk about it already?
No,
we
didn't. We kind of,
it was off air. Yeah. So you did a version of My Friend Is a Pro, an acoustic version on stage to kick off I Have 3 last night.
Acoustic version of My Friend Is a Pro, which I got I was like nervous to do it. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow night at the MSP premiere, but the main thing that comes to my head is like, I mean, I don't really give a shit about fucking up on stage or like whatever, because that shit happens. Yeah, but like, I just hope people know the song. Like, I get really nervous that like nobody's gonna know. I'm gonna be like, well, I made a thing like 15 years ago.
I told you, like Stan Ray, I went because you were like, all right, who knows the words, right? And I'm like, I think that's what you should do tomorrow. Just
we just get them slow it down and get them to engage
out with the chorus. But like, I went over to Stan. He's like, that was so awesome. He's like, I know the words. I kind of wanted to stand up and start yelling them, but I didn't want anybody to look at me thinking that I was a weirdo. And I'm like, no.
Well, I think we learned a lot last night. I think tomorrow's gonna be pretty sweet. Like I have this moment in my head, which whether it's like I don't know. I like this moment in my head where I really want it to be like, everybody's singing the chorus and I just stop playing guitar so we could just be singing all together.
Walk around with the microphone.
Not even, just like enough people singing it. And I don't know if that's just like for my own, actually I do know. It doesn't feel like it's for my own ego side of it. I just would really like that feeling of everybody being together. And
your Hey Jude moment.
Yeah, I guess so. My Hey Jude is My Friend Is a Pro. I guess so.
You get behind a piano.
I have a hard time expressing it because it does seem like it's like an ego thing for me, but it doesn't really feel like that to me. It's like fun. I think it'd just be really fun to have everybody
song and you want to sing it. Yeah, you want to get people
everybody
involved.
Singing it. It would be sweet.
All right, so you got of the years, you've got a handful of songs currently that you put out through MSP Films and your own thing and like YouTube and stuff. So My Friend Is a Pro.
Yeah. Aprés is the one I made with Matchstick,
which I like. I hope it sees like
it's not in the movie.
So you're gonna probably do like a
we
release.
Didn't get enough budget to get in the movie, so
you can release it though.
Yeah, it'll be released
because it's good. And maybe let me know. I'll let you know when this comes out. Maybe we can line it up.
Yeah, we can release it for sure.
Yeah, because that was good. I liked it.
Yeah, the idea was like just me. I'm skiing down with like guitar in my back and like cowboy hat on, and I just wrote this like country song about like what like. One of the lines is like, no, fuck. It's like about like remember to pizza and don't French fry because you're like too fucked up to get down the mountain.
Maybe I got a guitar in the room. Maybe we should do a little version. We can plug it in. An acoustic version we can add to the end of the episode. Stick around to the end of the episode.
Sure, we can totally do it. I'm down.
That's cool. I was thinking when you were talking about the Hot Dog the Musical, I was thinking about like Hamilton.
Well, yeah.
do like a ski.
Well, like I pictured it. I wanted to just make like a musical ski movie. And when you say that, people get all frou-frou-y about it, like, well, like it's like a Sound of Music or some bullshit. But like, like Team America World Police is a musical,
right?
So like, I'm sorry, like
it's South Park movie too.
Yeah, dude.
Musical.
That's what I mean. So like, I want to make Hot Dog the musical, and it would be like that style.
I like it.
Like one of the the Proho song that I've been working on is like a bar song where everybody's singing along to like help explain what a Proho is. It's like, it's pretty fun.
As you're like dancing around the room, there's like a couple sitting in little short skirts at the end of the bar or something.
Well,
like
no,
that,
it's like I mean, you can also the way that I've been working on it too is.
Do you have the word hat chaser in that song?
We have Buckle Bunny, Lacrostitute.
Oh goodness,
Puck Slut.
I think we call them puck bunnies up here.
Puck Bunny. Well, there's Pit Lizard too.
Pit Lizard. What's that
dirt
one?
Biking.
Dirt biking.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of them. I called Carrie Herman.
Yeah.
I called Carrie. I was like, Carrie, I'm working on the song Proho. I need other different sports names for Prohos. She was like, I got it. She just started just naming them all off. She was like, can I be in the video? Can I be in the video? I'm like, well, it's gonna be in a movie, and yes, of course you can be in the movie. And she's like, I want a slow-mo shot of a bunch of hot dogs hitting me in the face. And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know if that fits with it's gonna be like a real movie. She's like, I don't care, just make it happen. I'm like, okay. Great.
Maybe.
I guess that's what Proho meant to her. Just a bunch of hot dogs just tossed in her face.
Yeah. That's those stories are for the Patreon only X-rated. The X-rated podcast.
The movie has to be.
I'm talking about the anecdotes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm talking about the anecdotes.
Are you cutting that out?
No, I'm going to leave it in. But
Okay.
I mean, like the anecdotes I want you to tell me about that inspiration for that.
Oh, I don't even know that was Carrie's inspiration.
Oh yeah. Anyways, I think I'm getting off topic. I just want to hear your stories.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, there's plenty of those
from
stories.
a guy who was like at that age, at that time, on that come up with
there's
a monster hat on.
Yeah, I think a better person to tell you those would be Schmuck though, because he remembers them.
Yeah, and everyone tells
we just
him
experienced them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but even we were tame compared to the generation before that.
Right.
And then the one after us actually got a little crazier. Like, I don't know.
Do you have any do you think back on any of those times and been like, geez, that turned out better? That like if this happened one way, like you think back on certain situations, either have regrets or be like, if any other variable was different, this could have ended up very differently.
There's most of them. Like, just how did that happen with nothing happening?
Yeah, right.
Like, how did that happen? And none of us are dead. What is going on?
So it's pretty loose. A lot of partying, a lot of
ridiculous, dude. Like I never worked out or anything. Like we didn't go to the gym. We didn't do anything. We just there was one year where between filming and all the competitions and stuff, where I wasn't in one spot for more than 10 days.
Right.
The whole year, like through summer, spring, all that. The whole time.
Just living out of a suitcase, literally.
Just I had a storage unit in Colorado, and then I had a car with a storage unit in Colorado and a car and a storage unit in LA for like when I needed to like go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That's it. I didn't pay rent anywhere. I didn't do anything. We were just traveling. There's ping, 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 ping. There was one month of things where we had Dew Tour in Colorado, and then we had a contest. It was like the ski tour or something in the next weekend. So it was 4 days in Colorado, 4 days in California. I'm like, it could be totally off. But then we had another contest like Euro X or something in Europe. So there was 4 days there, and then X Games in America. So it was 4 days at each of those spots. And you just get there, you get your hotel room, fucking get your shit together, go to practice, do the pre-runs or whatever that day, try to get used to as much jet lag as you possibly can, and then you're on to the next thing. You do the contest, party if you have time, but you don't have time usually, so you just go to the next one, fly out on the next Monday, and then you're at the next spot, and then you get ready and you do practice, and then you do that, and then fly to Alaska to go do the shoot, and you're there for 5 days, and you just, I'm giving an example of whatever, but then like just ping, 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 ping all over the place. And like we used to have the 10% rule, which I'm sure you probably talked about before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so people that don't know, 10% rule is 10% of your winnings.
Yeah,
you spend at the bar on everybody
and everybody else.
Yeah.
Luke Van Balen actually still does that, even though he's married with kids in Denver.
So like 10% of his paycheck.
of his like
life,
like
of his
real
job.
estate stuff. So he like flips houses or whatever.
Yeah.
So he gives 10% to a charity or to someone who needs it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Luke Van Valen.
Shout out as hell,
Yeah.
man. That's sick.
That's cool.
And so there was one where we went like on that first thing. It was like Colorado to California to France, I think, and then back to Colorado, and then directly back over to France for another one. And I think it was Candide's event, which is just mellow, chill. And we hadn't had time to like party and do all the shit. It was like me and Pete and TJ and like that age of that crew.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at this bar in La Clusaz at Candide's event, and we're all kind of, it's like one of the yurts that's like halfway up the hill. And there's like 10 of us there maybe, and Simon goes, Colby, dude, you've been crushing it lately, because I won the US Open and like got a medal at X, and then won the ski tour and like a bunch of shit. And I was like, thanks, man. But like in my mind, I know Simon. I'm like, what about it? And he's like, how about that 10%? Because we hadn't had time to like party. And I was like, fuck.
It cost you like a lot of money.
And he goes, okay, let's see here. And like chucks up everything that I had won. And it was like 60 grand in prize money over the last like 4 weeks. And I was like, shit.
I gotta spend $6 grand on a party.
Grand. So I was like, fuck. And I just walked up to the bar. Literally, there's nobody else in the yurt. It's like middle of the day, bluebird day, but we've been just nonstop. So like everybody else is like skiing and stuff. We're like, let's just go to the bar, like do nothing. And so I walk up to the bartender and I like got my tall tee on and like fucking, looking like myself. And I'm like, how much are those big bottles? And the guy's like, you want one of these giant bottle up there, the champagne? And I was like, yeah, how much for one of those? He was like, it's 2,500 euro. And I go, 2 please. Just full prick style. And I pulled out just a wad. And I was like, here you go.
You paid in cash.
Paid in cash.
You had $2,500 or $5 grand in cash.
5,000, yeah.
Why? Did you have that much?
Sometimes like when you do contests in Europe, they give it to you in cash.
No shit.
Yeah. So it's like, here you go. And then fucking we get the champagne, but there's 10 of us. And we're not gonna drink all that. It was like the
Magnums.
Yeah. And so then I was like, give me all of your glasses. And so I started just filling them all up, and anybody who walked in, I'd just be like, hey, and everybody would be like, hey, and they just give everybody that came in and got champagne.
That's awesome.
It was really fun. I know it's kind of a cocky story, but that's
an amazing story.
Well, it's like it was what we would all do. It was like 10% motherfucker, and like we knew that you got.
It's like, hey, we're not gonna drink it, but you still got to pay.
I wish I had that $5 grand back, but
yeah, I bet. Hey,
but not really. Like
no.
It was what we're doing.
Hey, it's worth it to tell that story on the Low Pressure Podcast. It was $5,000 story right there.
Yeah, that's why I did it. I guess so I could tell it on this podcast.
I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna get that back from this. An exposure.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the exposure fee.
I've already spent it already.
All right, I want to talk about kind of what you're doing now. So,
Hot Dog the Musical, man.
Yeah,
I've literally just been doing like music and being in LA. I'm just trying.
You do a lot of voiceovers and stuff too.
Yeah, I do a lot of voiceovers.
Yeah, so that's a lot of like. I think a lot of this generation, that's how they know you. I think because you've been
because people would just call me up and they're like, oh, Colby knows how to do voiceovers, so I'll get like a call from people who are making.
They're like, we could get an English guy, or we can get Colby.
Well, yes, we could have a British or whatever you'd like.
Yeah. So you've done stuff for a lot of people. Obviously, the Seeking Nirvana dudes.
Yeah, that one was really fun because Mike Hennetuck's dad, Jay, he was writing the script, and after he wrote the first script, he's a really good writer, so that he could hear your voice in his head. So every time I got that copy, like got the things I needed to read, I knew it was going to be good and easy flow to read, because sometimes people give you a voiceover and like they'll put words together that don't really fit or that don't flow. And so that one was just super. He was like, yeah, I don't know if they ever found it, Nirvana, but it sure was fun watching them try. Shit like that. It's just ridiculous.
I love it. And then you did, so I actually talked to you, I'm like, because you're here for the Whistler Blackcomb opening with Elemental, their film, and you did the narration for Magnetic, which is that Whistler Blackcomb film. And you're like, I did?
I was like, I don't remember that. It's so different when you're like, I'm not in the movie.
Yeah,
like,
when you're just doing it like for a read.
They just call me up and then I get in my like little sound studio set up in my fucking closet down in LA, and I just do the read and then send it out. And like, I don't get invited to premiere or anything.
Are you picking? Because you were telling me a story the other day that you had a good gig that was a quick one-off. And
yeah, I'm in the movie that's coming out the Saturday night.
Oh, the Saturday Night Live movie. That's
Yeah,
right.
Saturday Night Live movie. So that, I think it might even be out by now, but I'm in that one. I do a voiceover for that. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of voiceovers, but
Now, is that like a good, like, is that sustaining you, like, career path wise?
No.
Is it just like is it a huge, like,
No, that
market of
industry's-
competition?
yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's like there's probably like 100 people in the world that would actually make decent money at it.
Right.
And like that's not me being like fatalistic about it or anything. It's like it just is a lot. There's so many
Right.
people that are doing it, and it doesn't really matter how good you are. It's just a lot.
And now
of,
AI is going to
lot
get
of
rid of
resistance. Yeah.
half of those people.
Yeah, and like the residuals stuff, you know, like where when you're in a movie, you get paid out residuals for that. Like some of my stunt buddy guys, like they'll get checks like once a month from a movie they did 6 years ago for $1,500
For real.
for real. Like my friend Casey, like he's
Casey Dean.
no Casey Adams, but he lives in.
He's not a
Tahoe.
stunt man. He's trying to be an actor, not a stunt man.
He's a handsome man.
He is a handsome
I
man.
talked to Katie. I was like, "Yeah, you know my friend Casey," because my friend Casey, who's a stunt guy, worked on Katie's movie, and I was talking about Casey, the stunt guy. She was like, "Oh yeah, he was just the handsome guy," and I was like, "Oh, you're thinking of Casey Dean."
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He was in that movie too.
He was.
I think he was.
His title was the handsome,
handsome
guy.
guy.
But my friend Casey, who does stunts, he's like, I can't come down and get my mail. I need checks deposited, so I'll like go over to his hangar because he's this giant hangar and like open all his checks and like put them in the bank for him and like you get these fucking residual checks for like shit that's like from forever ago, and sometimes I'll be depositing like 15 grand.
And are you just like, God damn
I'm
it?
like,
Because it's like a slap in the face. Is you're like, I'm putting all this money in the bank, but it's not my money. And I'm forced to look at this other guy make all this cash. Like,
Yeah, but that's-
sure, like financial openness and discussion is probably healthy because there's
Yeah.
so many people that are financially illiterate in this world that don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
But when that's like the reverse opposite. It's like, look how much I'm making.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
does he give you a fee? Do you get to keep one of them?
no, it's just like I'm just helping
Just
him
like,
out. But,
just like lay them out on the table. Like pick one, and that's yours.
Yeah, right. No, but I like the reason I mention it is because in voiceover shit, like you don't get that. Like they don't do residuals for stuff.
No, it's just a one-off.
It's just a one-off thing. Like I'm in the video game Contra. It came out. You ever heard of that?
Like I know the original
the OG with like the big red
the
C on
original
it.
Nintendo game.
Yeah. So I'm in the new one that came out recently.
You need an agent to negotiate this shit for you.
Dude, but I play Beowulf. It's like one of the bad guys that you fight against, like the ultra bosses, and they give me like a whole monologue speech, like the first Contra. Like he was like frozen in ice for like years and shit. It was really funny. But yeah, that's like $1,500 and then no payouts after that.
That's cool though. Do you get did you
cool.
at least get a copy of the video game?
They did. I made sure that I was like, at least give me the effing game. Like I want to see it or whatever, but I haven't played it yet.
What do you think is like the in for that stuff? Because you get work. Is it just like working with someone and then
I
being
think
like,
it's
and
just
like, hey,
lottery.
like once you get to work with people,
Yeah,
and then they like you, and then they'll hire you again and
But
again.
the thing is, like with that Hollywoody type way that it goes, it's like it's a system they already have built out. So like even you can establish those relationships, but you can't find them anywhere. You still have to do like a massive amount of like auditions and stuff
right?
like that.
Is there any
It's
like
exhausting.
is there any parallels to like the ski world that
I
you're
thought
in
there was gonna
to
be, and that's
this?
why I think it's exhausting to me, is because there isn't.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of, but the level that you'd have to get to is like you'd have to be talking to like executives about shit to be able to get anything done.
Right.
I mean, maybe somebody listening or watching this would have other things to say if they're in it, but like that was my experience with it. It was just like, this is a lot. I mean, you can be as good as possible. I'm not.
It's about who you know and
It's just who
and
you
the
know
your
and
timing
and all that shit. Yeah,
how many?
and also how. No, I haven't experienced that.
No.
No, I know what you're talking about, where like you think you need to like suck a bunch of dicks and fucking like shake a bunch of babies and shit, but like
Yeah.
it's not. That doesn't really do much. You still have to.
Not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Never found yourself on a casting couch.
No, not in that.
I love how you stopped to think about that for a second. Wait, was that? I thought we were just having beers.
that what that was?
Yeah, I thought we were just having beers, but actually, now that I think about it,
Wait, where are we?
yeah. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Help me.
The LPP couch.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I've been doing, is working on what I want to do is make Hot Dog the Musical.
Yeah.
So in a way, what I'm enjoying doing is with the LA stuff is like figuring out how you can actually make that shit work.
Right.
And that's what goes back to what we were talking about with Katie. She knows, she did it. she was able to accomplish that thing. So,
And you can relate to her because it's not like I'm talking to some, Hollywood dude that doesn't know anything about skiing.
Exactly.
Look, Katie's now a good like avenue to kind of explore this.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I don't want I'm not putting any of that
on her. But yeah,
just,
but you see, it's been done.
It's great to see that it's been done.
Do you have like any other like mentors or people in LA that have been like helping you move actually, like helping you navigate this quagmire?
Yeah, Jaquet, Mike Jaquet. He's one of the founders of Freeze magazine, and he has been super helpful because he was like behind the scenes facilitator for all of that stuff we were talking about, the generation before me. Like he's one of the reasons that not that he doesn't know it. I mean, I've told him, but like he's responsible for the events and the things that happened to make me become a pro skier, to like for my generation to be possible. He's the one who facilitated. He created Freeze magazine. Like, where the hell would any of us be without that?
It was like the first real kind of counterculture skiing magazine, wasn't
exactly
it?
Yeah, it was the first thing. And then he made all these events on the East Coast where like he actually brought the Kahlua half pipe jam, which was like way back in like 2002, 2003.
Look at that, Kahlua still getting.
Are they doing stuff now?
No, I'm just gonna say they're still getting like naming.
They're getting props right now.
It's like, hey, that was a good investment.
But that was all Jaquet. He like facilitated all those things happening. He was basically like, I would call it like kind of like if you picture like a super famous band or something, he was like the tour manager, or he was like the manager for the band. Like he has so many stories about like, he told me one the other day of like sitting around with like a bunch of the pros at the time, and like they're all sitting there, but then there's like fucking 12-year-old Tanner Hall sitting at the table, and they're all like ordering like Jack and Coke, milk please. Like just him and CR sitting there, and they're like, he was the facilitator of all of that whole band of things.
Right.
And he's still, I go to him for all that stuff. I'm just like, I want to do this. And he's like, it's totally possible. And here's some connections I have, and here's some different things. So like he's I would say a good mentor example.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Super cool.
The weirdest thing now is like I'm old as fuck, so like I find kids asking me about stuff. I'm like, I'm not a mentor. I don't know what to tell you. Oh wait, but you could do it like this, and it's like it ends up happening.
You're like, I am. Like you don't think it, but you have. But it's just lived. It's just whether you know it or not. It's just lived experience, right? Like
just lived experience.
Yeah. You experienced and seen some wild things, and
that's why I want to make
Hot Dog the musical.
No, not Hot Dog. Oh, Park Rats.
Park Rats the film.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
I think it would be awesome.
What would be like a comparable in your mind? Like what would be an inspiration?
Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh yeah, cool. The Netflix
a little bit less campy.
Yeah.
It would be
a little bit more like Kids.
Yeah,
the movie Kids.
A little bit.
Kids meets Wet Hot American
without
Summer.
The AIDS. Yeah. that was a gnarly movie.
That was bad. It was. It's Casper.
But yeah. Something like that where it's just like
a little gritty, but
raw.
like yeah.
I didn't see 90s Kids. Is that what you're talking about?
No, the movie Kids.
Right. So we are talking about the same thing, but 90s Kids?
No,
90s,
I didn't. They did another version.
It
was in the 90s that it came out, didn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but
are we talking about the same thing?
There's a movie called 90s Kids.
Oh.
Jonah Hill made.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I know. I got to watch it because I feel stupid that I'm talking about making something similar and I haven't seen that movie, but I imagine it's kind of like that thing where it's about fucking from the age of like the cast will be like 16 to like 24.
Yeah.
And it would be about what happens with, I mean, have you ever hung out with a bunch of 16 to 24-year-olds?
Yeah. When I was 16 and 24.
Right.
Yeah. And then actually, to be honest with you, sometimes now.
Yeah. And it's wild. It's like, it was wild then and it's wild now. And it's like that coming of age part of it is what I think would be really fun to play.
Interesting. Okay, I have a question for you too about kind of that age difference thing. So say you were, let's say like the current technological age was when we were that age. Or vice versa.
Okay.
Say with like TikTok and stuff, because like you're a video maker, that sort of thing.
Well, they've kind of gone past it now, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. But I'm like, would you have, like, obviously we're a little older, so our enthusiasm for that sort of thing isn't quite as high.
I'd say it's different. We don't get it as much. They get it to the point where sometimes they don't even use it. Like they don't care about it as much. They just know it's a marketing tool.
Right.
Yeah, where we got kind of fucked in the middle there, where we like, they just said what it was, and we just went with it.
We were like, oh, Instagram is a cool photo sharing app.
Something.
Right? Well, then kids now, a lot of them, do you think that's what it is? Like, I haven't really talked to them about that, but a lot of people are on TikTok and they're showing their thing. But do you think the majority of people on TikTok are just trying to...
now that's like, kids don't, and I say kids in that range that we're talking about, but like they'll do like no screen time on their own. Like they don't want to look at the phone every 2 seconds. So they want to do a thing. Like
some do, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, some do.
I'm saying like the people that are like going for it, that are like
going ham with it.
Yeah. Do you think people? Maybe this is kind of a question I'm just kind of formulating right now. But do you think those kids and people that are on TikTok now, do you think anybody really does it just because they enjoy creating stuff, or is it for a purpose?
I'm sure there are some, but when you give everybody the ability to put out whatever they want all the time, like the best one that ever happened was Vine, because that you had to be like a director in order to do it. That app, do you remember that?
Yeah, I never used it though.
Because
wasn't it like 6 seconds for?
It was 6 seconds, and you could start and stop recording, but you couldn't. You had to erase the whole thing if you fucked it up. That would show you who's really good at making something, because you had to do it sequentially and you had to do it within that time period. I thought it was wonderful, and then they fucked it up because they started. You could edit it, and then you just take away all the.
Were you on Vine?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
but I was just more so intrigued by it. Like I really enjoyed watching some of the things that people came up with. It was so clever. But like if you give people those constraints, then you really see who's actually doing it. Right. And
so that's interesting.
The difference now is like, you can put out whatever the fuck you want, or you can make TikToks or Vines or those things, but are you following a trend, or are you being creative with it?
This is my TikTok
dance. Did we just make a TikTok?
Yeah. The TikTok, for those of you watching on YouTube, the little TikTok dance. But yeah, like I and if you disagree with this, say this, but I was like, I think if TikTok now was back in your era, I'd be like, I bet you Colby would have been all over that and like really using it.
Instagram first came out during that era.
2012,
yeah. Around that phone, I was like, that was probably my.
But it was just photos.
X Games gone on.
Photos with weird filters.
I didn't understand it because it felt very self-aggrandizing, I guess would be a way to put it. But like, I didn't. It was like
you didn't feel like sharing your fish tacos.
No. Like, it just felt really weird to me. People like, just ate a fish taco. Here's a picture. Or like, here's a view of the thing on vacation. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what it was. And then I watched Casey Dean actually just go like, and like, he was like one of the first ones that I had seen that just like utilized it as a tool. And I was like, oh shit, I should have been doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
But I
think we all saw that. We're like, oh shit, you have 50,000 now?
Yeah.
Like, it's too late to buy followers now.
Yeah. But it just didn't appeal to me, and it kind of still doesn't really.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if I have an idea, then I like to share it on there. But I don't like the idea of the being attached to that. I find it's a good way for like in your own life of like for promoting who's
promotional tool,
right, and who sponsors you, or like who you're trying to promote, or what you're trying to promote, like what you want to do.
Right.
But it's really hard to get away from that piece of like they also want you to do it for them. I mean like the Instagram.
And I thought your point of it would be more like, hey, this is an opportunity for me to share my creativity. So like
I get that.
My songs and my skits and
it's super helpful. But the problem is that, as I'm sure you know, like you don't just get a following. You have to like
curate one.
They and that's what I mean is like they make it so you have to do that.
Yeah.
I did try it out for a little bit. There was a time when you could do reels where you could like change the audio on the reels, and I did that, and I got a viral video. It was like 48 million views, and it was just me doing a voiceover for this dude tumbling down the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, the more you fuck around, the more you find out.
Yeah.
Jimmy is finding out a lot of new
There's
things.
a couple dudes. There's one dude that I don't remember what his name is, but like he gets these videos of like robberies gone wrong and like people fighting back against robbers, and he voiceovers it like it's a sports thing, and it's massive.
Yeah. And so what I found out though by doing that is I was averaging about 1 million views a post, because it was the algorithm was feeding that, and then it's a 90-day change in the algorithm. So I like went pretty deep into figuring out how that shit works.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it changed, they just stop. And also they had like a bonus program thing, whatever. This is what I'm talking about. They would pay you for if you were crushing it.
Yeah.
But they let the videos go. So we got 48 million or something on that video, and then got like 9 million on another one, or like 10 million, or you like get like 800,000 on another one. And I'm just like banging them out.
Yeah.
And then it's like you have a pay period. So they give you 30 days. And so however many views you get there, they'll pay you out on however many views you got. And what I found that they started doing was I would put out a video and it would get up to 400,000 and then it would flatline because I was tracking all of it. It would flatline until the end of the pay period, and then it would just
spike again.
They'd let it go.
Oh, greasy,
very greasy. And that's when I was like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Why am I taking part in this thing? But it's like, it's really like, I see how people get addicted to it because you can like see what it is and how it happens.
Right.
But I just was like, this is dumb. And then after that 90 days, I gained 60,000 followers in 90 days. And after that, they changed the algorithm, and I was like, well, now all they're trying to do is get me to figure out how to do that again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really like this rat race thing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I was like, I'm just going to use this to put out what I want to put out.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you're not, yeah. And I was wondering about that too, because like I said, with creatives like yourself, sometimes because you like to put yourself out and like you like to do fun videos that you want people to see. Yeah. So I was like, maybe he's that guy that like wants to really work on, see how many eyeballs he can get. But for you, it's really more
was the experiment.
But it was more about the creativity for you, where it's like, I'm not going to stress myself out. I'm not going to go and like rack my brains and make it like my life's goal.
Right. Which probably sounds cliche, but like for the algorithm. I'm not going to.
Yeah. I don't live for the algorithm.
I have ideas of my own.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to make stuff. I don't want to make stuff that they want me to make.
Yeah.
Just because that's helpful for them, especially if they're not going to pay you for it. Like,
exactly.
They're not gonna.
It's a lot of time.
They're gonna say, "We'll give you a bonus," and then they go, "If you get to this many," and like, yeah, but you're the one that's controlling whether that many people see it or not.
Right.
So fuck that shit.
Fair.
Yeah. I still use it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like promote stuff and definitely get a lot of hits now and again, but like, I'm not gonna break my balls over it.
Yeah.
Is it hard not to do a deep voice because
break my balls over
do a voiceover right now. Do you know what funny thing about voiceover? It doesn't matter what your tone is or anything. It's just inflection.
It's inflection.
Yeah. No, it's inflection.
It's inflection.
Higher. It's inflection.
It's inflection.
It's inflection.
It's inflection.
It's all of the different inflections. So you can be like,
the emphasis is on the wrong syllable.
Yeah. You just put different emphasis on different syllables. Let's go get a piece of pizza. Let's go get a piece of pizza.
Let's go get a piece of pizza. Do you know? So I've never said this. Actually, I'll tell you this. I have a new idea for a new punctuation mark.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna say it on here because someone's gonna steal it.
Oh.
But I think the English. Yes, that's what we're gonna call it.
That's an
patent pending. Yeah. Yes. It's. I'll tell you about it after.
Oh well, I was thinking the reason I say that is have you heard of Victor Borg?
Yes, but
this is getting into more like my comedy roots.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Victor Borg. It was one of my mom's favorite comedians. He was a piano player.
Oh yes,
old.
Yes. I always call him Victor Borg. My mom listened to him too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did he do a Christmas album?
I don't know, but I think he does one where he's reads from a book and he does all the punctuation. He's just like, all these different things. It's so good, and I think that's where my sense of humor comes from. Is like that. My mom's real funny.
Listening to silly stuff with your mom when you're a kid.
Yeah, like that type of shit. And I also like that. Like I would describe my humor as a little bit dad jokey type stuff.
I'm down.
Yeah, I like the dad joke.
I love a good pun, man.
Do like a nice "that's what she said" comes around like way too often.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So what do you got going for this winter moving up? So are you going to be doing some more skiing stuff?
I'm writing this song called "Deep End."
Okay.
It's about no friends on a powder day.
Oh, yeah.
But I really the reason I'm growing my hair out is because I want to do it. It's like a Bon Jovi metal song. Not metal, but like 80s rock.
Yeah.
So I want to shoot it this winter, probably in the springtime actually, but me on the top of a mountain with just a vest on and my hair
blowing in the wind.
But I want to do it for like, I wouldn't be skiing in it. It would be like for the crash segment in a movie. So that's what I'm working on.
Sweet.
Just got to see if Matchstick wants to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll see if anybody else will put it
I don't know if I'm like hurting myself by mentioning it now, but that's what I really want to do.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And like, so I think now is the time for me to go grab, before I forget, let's go grab the guitar.
Okay.
And then we'll get you to do, we can reset it. And
so you can do My Friend is a Pro if you want. It's super easy.
Let's do a little acoustic set at the LPP studios. All right.
Set. What do you call it? tiny desk concert.
Yeah. The
Regular size desk concert.
Yeah. The LPP couch.
Yeah.
What we were talking about before.
I can play that, or I can play Aprés. I feel like my friend is a pro. It's
Why
probably
don't we do both?
Okay.
Well, we were talking about Aprés though, and we can like when you put it out, we can release it as like an extended deluxe version.
I'm trying to think I can remember the lyrics enough for it. I guess I could play like the beginning and the chorus, and then
whatever, we can play it if you want. I'll just whip it up.
No, it's good. I think I can do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Anything else you got to say?
I don't think so. If anybody likes those ideas, I'd like to know if they do. Like,
right.
If I'd like to.
Should I actually go through with this? Is it worth it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, which ideas should I do? I think what would people want to see? Because I want to see a movie like Park Rats.
And I think just as importantly, if anybody wants to help, make this or like work with you.
Someone was like, "Do you do it like you could do like a crowdfunding thing?" And I was like, I kind of feel like that doesn't. I don't want to have to do that to them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would rather I'll figure it out. But if we have the support of like we want to see it, that's good enough for me because then I'll figure out how to make it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dope.
Yeah.
Right on, man. All right, stay tuned for this exclusive unplugged
me
song from Colby James West.
Warming up.
Colby James West.
Good
All right.
inflection.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Beating for prizes and contracts and hoes. I'm a marching old rider. Your shit might be tighter, but my friend's a pro.
You've been listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers. This has been a Redmark Media production.